So today I'm going to insulate this side of the van. Same 25mm insulation board I used on the floor to fill in these apertures. The more awkward places we'll just be using some insulation wool. And we'll be using the self-adhesive foam backed layer to close off the whole thing so that it's a good thermal and vapor barrier there. The idea of a thermal barrier, or vapor barrier rather, is to prevent the build-up of condensation on these outer skins from warm moist air in the cab when you're sleeping in it, etc., and cooking. And that's to prevent that moisture getting on to these areas, which will be cold obviously in the winter or at night, and it will stop it from condensing in those areas and dropping down and creating pools of water and rust and all sorts. Anyway, that's the plan. So this is how I've approached doing this cavity. So to get a nice trace, actually old wallpaper is very useful. I always keep a couple of old rolls of wallpaper. Just use that to get into the nooks and crannies. And then mark as you go. No, it doesn't take long. Obviously I'm using 2 bits of paper to get a nice trace. Here's one I made earlier. So then when that's cut out, I can just adjust it slightly to make it fit. That worked out very nicely. I'll use that as a template to cut the actual board. And that's that really. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tape these seams up with foil tape so that I know that's a complete closure of anything getting in there. I'll put this in and use tape to seal that. I'll do the same on the bigger cavity here. So I've sealed up any gaps that allows air past here onto the rear skin. When you're taking up a gap with this tape, I found the best thing to do is just lightly apply it first and then actually squeeze into the gap first. It's relatively brittle and will break if you try and force it in there. This is one of the fun bits of doing the van I was looking forward to. So the big apertures have been insulated with the 25mm thermal insulation board. And the awkward gaps have been done using this 50mm recycled plastic bottle stuff from B&Q. Hasn't quite got the insulation properties of this, but it's a lot better than nothing. So yeah, I've not got much more to do. I had to be quite inventive getting some up in behind here, using some drain rods and a bit of brute force, but we've got some material up there. Right, just pop this bit in. Quite tough. I thought it'd be quite fragile and easily broken as you manipulate it, but it stays together. And what you've got to try and do is not have it too compressed, because it insulates by trapping air. If you compress the fibres too much, they won't trap as much air. So anywhere where it's been a bit pushed a bit hard, just teasing it out. Some spots like here have got a double layering, and at the top. So to supplement the main panel infills, the 1-inch thermal insulation, I'm covering the rest of the inside skin with this 10mm sticky backed foam, which has the silver reflective surface to enable me to maintain that vapour barrier when it's all patchworked in. And I found actually it's quite easy to do it as a bit of a puzzle, working off bigger areas and then just doing the fine tuning with smaller bits, because then I can use the tape to close everything over. It seems to do a very good job. Start down here, get that level. It's quite malleable. There's a lot of flexibility in the final plyboard finish anyway, which will work around any high spots, etc. There you go. And that gives me a little bit of an access port there for one of the electrical junctions. I've got plenty of room in there for the inch board that's going across the top. Done up like a Christmas turkey, all taped in to maintain the vapour barrier. So just for the record, I'm well on the way to complete this side insulation. A lot less to do, less wires to worry about. This side, the board's back on. Back to this side. I've been determining the methodology on the other side. It was a lot quicker this time round. All the insulation is in. I've made a couple of adjustments to the ply liner. So this is the ply liner. Reusing this because it will be carpet covered eventually, so it doesn't matter how it looks at the moment. Made a couple of adjustments. Hole for the switch cable. I do like the way whoever did this originally used coach bolts and the existing thread points on here. That's made it easier working with it, I must admit. Create enough room up here to put the insulation in, which is the same size as the this batten that I'll be using, and that will just squeeze in there. I've noticed by putting the foam insulation on all around, I noticed on the other side it really tightened up beautifully and stopped any rattles. But I'll augment the coach bolts with a few self tappers around here, which I've put in before, so I know the positions. So that's the two sides and the floor insulated. Onto the ceiling next, and I'll be snug as a bug.